on air, it seems. It is 5 p.m. on November 20th, 2025. I'm going to open the Finance Committee with a roll call.
You're here.
Shepherd here.
King here.
Kilcoyne here.
Padula here.
Right here.
And it's 5 o'clock, and I'm going to open the CBC with a roll call.
Dorothy, you're here.
Shepherd here.
King here.
Kilcoyne here, sorry.
Ian here. Jordan here.
And I don't know, can we ask Sarah to just keep minutes until Val comes? Thanks, Sarah.
She didn't say she wasn't going to be here, so
She probably
I
will.
imagine she will show up.
Well, there was a garbage truck blocking traffic. Huge issue here in Sterling.
The first thing after roll call is approval of the prior meeting minutes, and we have several to catch up on, and I know that Valerie circulated them all around. So we will be discussing approval tonight of the July 16th minutes, the September 18th minutes, and the September 25th minutes of 2025 tonight. So the first one up is July 16th. Were there any comments on the July 16th meeting minutes?
Up to me. Fine.
Okay. I'll entertain, if there are no comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Second one up is September 18th, 2025. Were there any comments from the team on that? Hearing no comments, I'll,
Motion to approved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And the last set of meeting minutes was September 25th, 2025.
No,
And-
you see that one?
You did? September 18th, September 16th.
Oh, 18th, you're right, okay, they won't be good.
So are there any comments on the September 25th, 2025 meeting minutes?
Nope.
Hearing none,
So move.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And with that, we're going to open up public session. We'll allow 6 minutes for that, so roughly 10 after. Are there any,
Point of clarification, Joe.
yes, sir?
On the approval of prior minutes, it says 10:16 also on the agenda.
Oh, it says that on the agenda?
7:16.
Well, we got October 16th here, because I got 4. I agree with
Valerie must have added that then.
what the
It's on
16th.
here, do you want to just, you want to vote on it, or do you want to
Yes.
just carry it?
If everyone has reviewed them,
Yes.
at this point in time I have, but I didn't have it on my agenda printed out here, so if,
Motion to approve 10:16 minutes?
do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did you get that, Sarah? With that, thank you. We will open up a public session. Anybody here for a public session? Seeing none, we will close public session and proceed to the agenda. The first item on the agenda tonight is Mr. Wallace is going to talk to us about proposed 2026 ATM zoning changes that are going to come up. So the floor is yours, Steve.
Joe, do you mind if I pull up a chair and make this
Pull up a
more
chair,
of a
please.
discussion as opposed to a presentation?
Yes.
And for the audience who's heard this about a dozen times by now, I apologize. We're going to go through it again. Okay, I do have an extra paper copy for anyone who wants one.
Yeah, give it to John. I'm going to share with,
Yeah. So which one are you going to open up with, Steve?
I'm going to open up with definitions.
Definitions.
Now, these will all be on the planning board's webpage once we figure out how to use the
New
new
website.
website that they sprung on us out of nowhere and gave us no training on. Yeah, that's been an issue at town hall this week.
That it has been.
Yeah. I had 6 years' worth of files, and I have no idea where they are. Yeah, a little bit of training would help if you're gonna spring a new website on this. I'm gonna start with what I consider to be the less controversial ones, and then we'll work our way towards the more difficult ones. The first one is revising our definition section. We've got a number of definitions that the building department would like to add some clarification to. We've got several definitions that are not in line with how the state defines those terms. And if you remember, at the last annual town meeting, we added a bunch of economic uses that we wanted to define in the bylaw. So with that said, if you've looked over the definition section, if you've got any questions or comments, I'll take them.
My question is, the zoning, the definition, is this draft 4? Is this what,
Yes.
John took my pages and he screwed me all up, so, okay, so this is what this whole thing is. All right. Thanks, John.
That's what I like.
Joe, I know you had a question about allowing some manner of retail sales for warehouses.
Yes.
I'm going to discuss that with the board after this meeting. I know we talked about it a year ago. I can't remember why we settled on this particular definition, but we'll get that sorted out. We've got a couple minor zoning modifications we want to make. Right now, our zoning bylaw says that if you want to have a driveway that's wider than 18 feet, you need a special permit from the zoning board. Well, if you have a driveway that fronts on a state road, it needs to be 22 feet. So we want to spare people from having to get a special permit if their driveway fronts on a state road. So we believe we've made that clarification with our zoning amendment. Second minor zoning amendment, the groundwater protection bylaw has a depth to water table standard for new septic systems, which is 6 feet. And that is conflicting with the state standard of 4 feet.
He's just flipping around.
Board of Health and Joe Curtin, the author of the Groundwater Protection District, recommend taking it down to the state standard of 4 feet. So that's all we're doing there. With me so far?
And
Yes.
sort of,
Yeah, you didn't start from the beginning?
yeah,
Where are you? You're like on page.
Yeah.
I thought we were gonna start with accessory building or structure and then we go from there, but I don't know what page you're on at this point.
We're on accessory structures now. Okay, the building department has been getting complaints that residential property owners are using truck boxes, Connex boxes, and steel storage units and trying to call them accessory structures. For a town that's very concerned with their rural character, they would like to make it so those are not considered accessory structures. They would be allowed on a residential property temporarily while it's under construction, but keeping them long-term and calling them accessory structures, no. I did hear from, I believe his name was Mike Pinio from Conservation and Agriculture, that he'd like an exception for agricultural uses, and I'm sure the planning board would entertain that. So that's that one.
can I put my 2 cents in? So now, somebody's got one of those, is number one, if they've had it for like 2 years, is it already? Is, they gotta get rid
This
of
is
it?
moving forward.
Okay, so they grandfathered.
They
So
are.
if somebody puts one in, and they're supposed to only have it for a month or whatever, and 2 years later, what kind of, let's see, I don't know what my question, how do you how do you make them get rid of that? That's my question.
That would be the building commissioner going
Okay.
out there and citing them for having it more than whatever period they can have it for.
Okay. I mean, it seems like you have all these rules and regulations, and over the years, if nothing is enforced, and I just, I don't have a problem with this, Steve, with that part of it. I'm just wondering as far as what do you got for enforcement? Because I agree with the building inspector, you drive down these roads and then you got all these tin cans out back.
Yeah,
It's up to
I write the bylaws, I don't enforce them.
Okay, no, I just wanna know.
We have a part-time building commissioner. If he spots a zoning violation, he'll flag it, but it's not like he drives around looking for them. Most of the zoning violations that come to his attention are brought to him by neighbor, yeah. Okay, the next thing we want to do is enact an inclusionary housing bylaw. Now, that is a tool aimed at making sure that developments of a certain size, in our case, it would be 8 housing units or more, that they have a certain percentage affordable as determined by the state. You folks are aware of NGL Chapter 40B, which says that every municipality has to have at least 10% of its housing stock deemed affordable by the state. Right now, we've got 7.25% of our housing stock deemed affordable by the state. Once the third building from Northgate goes up, we'll be at 9.25%. It would behoove us to get to our 10% because once we do, we can say no to any development proposed through the comprehensive permit process. We won't have to deal with another Northgate on our hands. So this would apply to any housing development, whether it be a subdivision, whether it be multifamily or senior housing. If they build 8 units or more, we're requiring that 15% of the units be deemed affordable. And I've written these bylaws for small rural towns before, and they haven't gotten a lot of usage, so I polled the planning community as to what would help a bylaw like this get used in a small town. And the answer is offering a density bonus. So for every unit of affordable housing that they supply above and beyond what's required, they get another market rate lot. So that's the concept behind inclusionary zoning.
Now, is this kind of sort of like the 40B? Is like this an extension of the 40B? Is this completely
This is aimed at
different?
getting us to our 10%.
Okay,
By making sure that large developments include some amount of affordable housing that we can count towards our 10%.
and this will take care of everything for, not ever, but I mean for quite a while.
If we get some units out of this, it'll get us closer to our 10%.
And then we don't have to worry about any of these 40Bs or whatever.
Yes.
Okay. Because the 40B that's at the police station, that counts part of this. Yes, no?
I believe, what's the name of it?
Well, the
Patriot
Way,
Yeah.
that's a 40B.
Yeah.
So that's part of this, as far as the
Well,
7%.
this applies to developments coming forward.
Right.
That counts toward the
10%.
7.25 that we have today
Yes.
on Patriots Way.
Yes.
Okay.
And I just wasn't sure, the incentive to make something a 40B, could you explain that a little bit?
It's not an incentive to make it a 40B, it's just, if they give us more, if they give us another affordable unit above and beyond what we're asking of them in this bylaw, we give them a density bonus of one more market rate lot.
Okay, so like, as an example, the last Northgate building, if they made one more 40B unit, what would they get?
Oh, well, Northgate is different because it's apartments, all apartments.
Oh, okay.
And with apartments, even though the state requires only 25% of those apartments to be deed restricted for affordability, the town gets to count all the apartments.
Oh, okay.
So all 212 units of Northgate
Are
are
considered
counted towards our affordable
Okay.
threshold, even though only 25% of those units have affordability restrictions. It's different with market rate housing. With market rate housing proposed for 40B, they still only have to have 25% of them deed restricted for affordability, but only those 25% get counted towards our affordable.
Gotcha.
It's a kink in the 40B law.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks.
So they would get another market rate unit for
If-
every unit that they added.
Yes, Joe.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you might recall that we had a housing forum in June, and we've had the Regional Planning Commission update our housing production plan, taking a close look at the numbers, and we did a housing survey. And what we heard was there's a big need for senior housing and housing for young people starting out. From the forum, we heard that folks want this type of housing, but they don't want it concentrated all in one place. So in thinking about that, once the airport property came up for sale, I started talking with the landowner of the airport to see if she would be amenable to having the residentially zoned portion of the airport, the backland, zoned for what would be known as compact development district. That would have smaller houses on smaller lot sizes. And she was amenable to it. But this takes a bit of explanation, so bear with me as I try to go through it. Okay, so you see here a map of the airport.
We all got that, right? Little, as a little.
You should. So there's Greenland Road right here. And there's the portion of the airport property that's industrially zoned in purple. And here's the residentially zoned portion of the airport property. She also owns an abutting piece of property that has frontage on Old Princeton Road. Taken together, that's about 182 acres. Now, she's marketing the airport property both as an airport and as industrially zoned land. And if someone does buy that and want to use it as an airport, that pretty much precludes using the airport backland for residential development, because as you can see, the runway blocks off access to that backland. However, if she sells it as straight up industrial land, there would be the possibility of punching in a road that gets back to this backland. Now, there's not much usable backland here because it gets very steep, starting right around here. That's all very steep. So, and, yeah, more like that. So, but there is room back there for, I'd say, 20 to 30 houses. And for this portion of the property, it's wet back here and steep. So there's only room for about 20 houses there, but it's something. So we're proposing the compact development district that would have a smaller lot size.
Would they be able to have water there?
Depending on how many houses, water is an issue, and DPW is searching out a new well location, but they should be able to accommodate some. If they came back there with 50, probably not. It's all going to depend on how much water they think they're going to need, and they need to work that out with.
Are we that close on our water supply in town, Steve?
Well, that's a question for Ryan. I will tell you that a greenhouse operation from Metro West looked at this property
Yeah.
and determined, and DPW determined that their water need would exceed what we could give them, so they backed out, So that's the concept with the compact development district. Questions, comments?
Is that part of the zoning changes that are going to come up at the meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So this is gonna be like an overlay district?
Yes, it is an overlay district.
Okay.
Does it end up being a by right overlay district, or?
Well, the dimensional requirements would be what encourages the smaller lot sizes with smaller frontage. But multifamily, well, we're gonna get to that in a minute.
Okay.
I don't know if that would be allowed by right. We're prepared to pitch it by right, but that takes us to the multifamily bylaw, which is the last zoning amendment that we're working on.
Steve, how many units are proposed for this overlay district?
It's not a matter of number of units proposed, it's a number of what could actually be built back there.
Right.
And I would say that for this particular area, we're looking to 20 to 30 max.
Yep.
For this particular area right up here, we're probably talking 20. Again, it's steep slope through here, and then it's wet back here, so it's about 20 to 30 there and about 20 here.
That would be roadway in through here, Steve?
No, they'd access it from
Oh,
Old
okay.
Princeton Road.
Okay.
Steve, how does that relate to the condominiums that are already open? I'm trying to picture what we're looking at there. I see where the runway is now. If I'm standing out in the street on Greenland Road, what is this steep area you're talking about? Is it across the street from Greenland Road?
Behind the airport,
Yeah, it's behind the airport.
behind the runways in the airport. So if you're looking at the runways, it's further out.
Yeah, there's all trees along the back there.
Yeah, okay.
And I guess
Walk
it's
past
further back.
the runway and keep going deeper into the property, and you're gonna run into steep slopes.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
So does the airport stick around depending on what happens, or?
Well, like I said, she's marketing it as both an airport and industrial land. I don't know how many people want to run a small airport in a rural community these days. I think she's gonna have better luck marketing it as industrial land. And in that case, we could potentially get a road back there to that buildable land. But if someone buys it as an airport, that pretty much knocks off that front parcel.
They could always give you an easement, couldn't they? That's way far away.
Well, if you take a look at the runway, it pretty much blocks off access to that backland from one end to the other. So,
That's the runway's a little shorter, they could learn how to fly or what? Those gliders. Those gliders. Now, it's
we'll talk
something,
to the FAA about
yeah,
that.
something like this, so if they did this, this could be part of that, not 40B project, but that affordable housing numbers?
The MBTA thing?
No, not the MBTA, the other thing we just talked about.
If they give us some affordable units out
And
there.
that way, if we did that there, then that would,
If they went in and tried to build more than 8 units, then yeah, the inclusionary bylaw would kick in.
so then we'd be all set if they did it over there.
So the last thing we've been working on with the zoning board is revising our multifamily housing bylaw. And we're kind of stuck on that one. The zoning board and the planning board have not been able to agree on how to move forward. Planning board was also working on a senior housing bylaw. And we noticed commonalities In terms of content, both would be multifamily housing types of developments. Both have minimum lot sizes. Both have dimensional requirements, density requirements, and open space requirements. So the thought from the planning board would be to combine the senior housing as an option within the multifamily housing bylaw and just have some design standards for those people building senior housing. Design standards for ADA accessibility, single floor living, things of that nature. And we would be pitching that by right. The zoning board's not entirely comfortable with that. They would like to see an 80-foot perimeter buffer all the way around these types of developments. And the planning board is of the mind that that's just too much unusable land. When you're building a new roadway and it costs $1,000 a foot, to have a developer pay $80,000 to get a road in before he can even start building the first home, that seems excessive. And in talking with the Open Space Committee last night, they don't like the idea of that 80-foot buffer all the way around being included in the open space. Visually speaking, it's going to appear as someone's backyard, and no one's going to be comfortable traipsing through someone's backyard. So, Planning Board and I are going to discuss how to move forward at the meeting right after this one. I see three options. We can move forward with the bylaw, the combo bylaw, senior housing and multifamily as we proposed it. Or we can leave the multifamily bylaw as it is today on our books and just move forward with the senior housing bylaw, which we believe would be well received as a by right use. Or, well, is there another option? I can't remember, I'm tired. Well, there may be an option I haven't thought of,
Combining them, does that allow kind of a mixed use where you have some multifamily, some seniors in the same
Yeah, you could,
complex?
yeah.
If you separate them, does that preclude that?
I don't know, I'd have to think about that for a bit.
Okay.
I just have a little question about, if you combine the senior housing with the other one, they're all together, does the seniors want to be with other families, kind of, I mean, just kind of...
Well, that's kind of the idea of senior housing.
Right, just keep away from kids. Because they already brought their kids away from me. You know, that's where that 80-foot buffer should come in.
Small doses with the grandkids.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, but if you had them combined, the seniors could be on the first floor and you could also have multifamily above and, you know.
What do you mean, in the same building?
Yeah.
If I was a senior, I wouldn't want any, I wouldn't...
You are a senior.
Yeah, well... Easy. You know, that's like an apartment, you know, it's like living in an apartment, and now you're a senior, live down here because you can't climb up the stairs. But now you got the kids and the people, me personally...
Yeah, the
So
kids
for
are
all-
housing on the floor above.
Right, right.
So for both the senior bylaw and the multifamily, we're pitching that we're reducing the number of units per building from 8 to 4, because that puts it on a scale that's more in keeping with our residential character, our rural residential character. So it wouldn't be like apartment buildings like you see over at Northgate.
That would be my only thing as far as, not the finance law, but as far as a personal thing, keep
Keep the kids out.
Understood.
And I don't even have it, thank God.
So where do we go from here? The planning board's going to discuss its options tonight. We are going to have a public forum over at the Old Town Hall on Monday, December 8th at 6:30, where we run these by the public. Planning Board will spend its December and January meetings reviewing all of the input received. So if the Finance Committee wants to put together some comments, I would ask that you get them to me by December 8th so I can share them with the Planning Board in advance of our December meeting. Joe, I have your comments and I pass them on to the board. So we're going to spend our December and January meetings making the necessary revisions based on the input. You folks are the last board I've come to with these. I've talked to Conservation, DPW, Board of Health, Zoning Board, I said DPW commissions. Everybody that I've talked to last year is part of the zoning amendment package. Then we're going to have another public forum in February to present the revised bylaws. And if they're good to go, we'll have our public hearing, required public hearing in March. And it's off to town meeting. And that's how we do zoning amendments.
Based on what you said about the airport, it might be one of the impediments is the water supply that you mentioned, right? For all of these things to move forward, right? Yes, no?
That's more of a question for DPW.
That's why I asked, because
Yeah.
you said you had the review with the DPW.
Well,
and
DPW hasn't flagged any
Okay.
concerns,
Okay.
other than the possibility of having a problem if there was a large development proposed for the airport property. Now, if you take a look at that airport property, you're going to see DCR land on either side, so it is within the watershed protection area. I have forwarded this zoning proposal to the West Boylston DCR office, and they are reviewing it. So they may come back and flag some issues. They may even want to buy that property and permanently protect it, so that's another
As
possibility.
DCR, additional.
DCR, yes.
additional land.
I had heard because we border the Wachusett Reservoir that we have a right to access water from there. Do you know anything about that?
I don't.
That'd be a Ryan question, I think.
Okay.
I just know that Ryan's trying to do something with Lemonster water.
Yeah. Yeah, he's trying to address the water need, but we are getting up to the amount of capacity we have.
Yay!
Is he?
Front doors are locked downstairs.
Oh, no.
So you've been downstairs since 5 o'clock trying to get in?
No,
Commercial development, now that we've added the Gateway Enterprise District, we have 53 acres of vacant commercial land, but only 43 of it's usable. 10 acres are not usable due to environmental constraints.
Which not? Which one? Which not usable?
10 acres.
Oh.
So 53 acres of vacant commercially zoned land, but only 43 are usable. 23 are the Gateway Enterprise District that we rezoned last May.
No.
So the airport is quite a few acres. Like,
Excuse me?
the airport itself is quite a few acres. Is that considered part of the commercially available land?
No, the industrially zoned portion is considered part of our industrial land.
Oh, okay. That's different than commercial.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
different,
Yep,
yeah.
gotcha.
I have a question. We just did this MBTA land. Can we also put an overlay on top of an overlay as far as on Route 12 or any of that as far as commercial land? Or am I dreaming?
I don't think so.
Isn't it already commercial?
No, it's not, that we just rezoned it. And that's where.
We did an overlay,
Well,
so I don't know what it was zoned
Right, we did an
for.
overlay, but I'm just wondering if that could be,
A way to get commercial in there instead of, yeah. No.
well, whoever comes in first, I guess my question is.
I think the state would not permit that.
Was it all?
That's my opinion.
Oh, okay, I'm just asking, I'm just curious if that's something that should be looked at. I mean, unfortunately, that's 8 acres, 11 acres or whatever that we lost for commercial.
Well,
But we
it's
had to do it, I understand, I don't want to get in that whole
residential
thing.
zone now.
Right, right.
Okay, gang, I hope to see some of you at the December 8th forum. If you've got comments as a group or individually that you want to get me to share with the planning board, I ask that you get them to me by December 8th. Planning board will consider all comments. May not be able to address all of them, but we'll certainly look over whatever input we receive.
Do you expect to have another revision of the documents you shared today, Steve, after further review
yeah.
and before the 8th?
Like I said, the planning board's going to spend its December and January meetings
Okay.
making the revisions upon looking over all the input we received. So by the end of our January meeting, we're going to have close to finalized proposals that we'll post up for everyone to see, send out again, have one last public forum in February. We looked at your input, we revised our proposals, here's the final version, what do you think? If we're good to go, then it's off to town meeting.
So those will all get posted on the website once we figure out how to get them on the website?
That is the intention.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, gang, thanks for making the time
Thank you
for
very
us.
much, Steve. Okay. Our second agenda topic is free cash. Now, Bill's not here tonight, but Bill had reported before that we have a little over 1.3 million in free cash. And I had asked prior, and we didn't get to it in a prior meeting, for John and Bill to huddle and come up with a reconciliation to explain where that 1.3+ million in free cash materialized from, which buckets contributed to that.
Is this what John just passed out?
John is handing out,
And this is from Bill?
it's from Bill and John. I asked them to get together and huddle and create a reconciliation map. So I'm going to ask John to walk us through the reconciliation tonight, so we understand that. And also from the perspective of, we have some new members here, to familiarize them with the origins of free cash and where this year's happened to materialize from. So the floor is yours, John.
Thanks, Joe. Free cash, what is it? Free. Really, a lot of people ask me that question all the time. And, you know, it's a pretty good question. In the municipal sector, it really isn't free, as we all know, because the taxpayers provide it. But, you know, where does it come from? How does it affect us every year? And there's a couple of other sheets behind this, but I wanted to give you really a basic thing on this. In the form you have, you'll see the actual receipts fiscal 2025. That's actual money that came in through June 30th, 2025. The column to the right is the difference. What you don't have, because I don't want to waste time with paper, but is estimated receipts, fiscal 2025. I just couldn't, I'm not, savvy enough to put this columns, overlay it. Mike likes that word, right next to the actual column. But that's all this is what was the estimated receipts going into last year and what happened? What are the actual ones? So, when you go down the line, the big one was the very first one, which was motor vehicle excise. Because at the end of the day, our free cash we're trying to certify is $1,389,391. So, and we've been very blessed. I mean, every year we seem to have a pretty good balance in free cash. But how do we get there? So what happened is motor vehicle excise, the estimated receipts were $1,600,000. We came in at $1,865,136, and that's, you're going to see the difference. I just pencil that into the right. So that's $265,136. The next one were meals taxes, and we estimated, you don't have this, but we estimated the rooms and meals taxes at $26,000. They came in at $37,753, $11,754 increase. The next one down is penalties and interest on taxes and excises. Kind of hard to estimate that, but the estimate was $74,600. We came in at $93,991, an increase of $19,391. Kind of a big hike on something like that, at least I thought. Payments in lieu of taxes, those are the solar farms, et cetera. We estimated $830,000 last year, and this year was $907,804, so a $77,804 increase, the DCR watershed and 2 solar projects. That's what Bill told me anyway. I don't know, sitting in my slush fund, but I mean, I trust him. I think he's telling me the right stuff. So,
How does it work with a solar farm or something that generates actual revenue coming in?
right. Well, yeah, I believe it's through the Sterling Municipal Light, but it's something we get, payments in lieu of taxes,
Okay.
which is a nice thing. I don't know, the contract, I haven't read it, I don't know, but I mean,
Okay.
the numbers are what they are, I trust they're right. Departmental revenue, cemeteries, that's a pretty basic one. It's $15,000 was the estimate, and it came in at $15,475. We pretty well estimated that pretty good, $475. Other departmental revenue, last year was $215,000. This year, it was $270,825, $55,825 increase, and that's from the Board of Health fees, okay? Then building permits, licenses and permits under 17. Last year was $200,000, nice round number. The estimate, the actual was $307,688, so $107,688 increase in building permits, which is pretty nice. I mean, and these are, I don't know how you guess at some of this. I guess you guess on the number of permits that have been applied for and how many are going to follow through. So a lot of this is coming from, the building department, it's coming from the assessors, et cetera, that goes into this.
And history.
History, exactly. So other licenses and permits, $76,700 is the estimate. This year was $79,101. Bill said that's miscellaneous Board of Health items, $2,402 increase. Fines and forfeits, 2 years ago, it was $29,636, actual fiscal '24. Last year, it was $7,200 estimated. So we estimated a lot less than the actual year before. And then this year, the actual came in at $31,718, quite a jump again, going back to 2 years ago. So I don't know why we dropped it down last year, but that was a $24,519 increase. And then finally, the investment income, again, I have a question for Bill on this, but 2 years ago it was $366,988. That was the actual. Last year, the estimate, we dropped it way down to $50,000, and then this year, it actually came in at $404,253, a $354,253 increase. Bill mentioned that was, a big part of that was ARPA. It wasn't like technically net investment income at Bartholomew, but it was the ARPA money left over, which I think we anticipated to have less of it, and then we wound up having more of it. I don't know why, but I mean, that was a big plus. Not going to happen again.
But now we don't have it at all.
Well, that's right, it's gone.
Well, we held on to about 1.3 million, which sat in that
Should be right.
account earning interest that we had reserved for town improvement with it.
Right.
As a match to the grant. We didn't get the grant, so.
Right, I don't think we could have had that kind of investment income on 1.3 million, but again, maybe it was a spectacular year, I don't know, but I get that bears a couple of, I had some questions on it too, but I mean, I just give you the basics and what happened, the actual numbers, what happened. The last one, miscellaneous non-recurring, last year the estimate was 4,658, this year was 7,215, an increase of 2,558. So the right-hand column comes down to 921,805. When you look at the bottom line here, 4,020,963, and you don't have the column, but the column before last year was 3,099,158, and that's the exact difference, 921,805. So how do we get the free cash, 1,391,000? So the difference on that, and it was a real surprise to me, but believe it or not, again, we don't have the exact numbers, but Bill,
Getting dizzy.
huh?
I'm getting dizzy.
Don't worry, I can explain this over beer later, okay, or over Coca-Cola, let's say. And, so anyway, it was 921,805, and then to that we added tax title, which is taking taxes from properties who owe us money and that have been delinquent for 300, give or take 300,000. I want to say, I asked Bill, how do we get that? And she said, the lady downstairs, God, I can't think of her name off the... Megan is obviously doing a real good job. I'd like to have her in my business someday if I ever was going to work again. But she did a great job. She brought in a lot of money, which, again, that's one, I don't know how you project that, which is why it was, such a high number. I mean,
Now, is that people that didn't pay their property taxes?
you got it.
It's in arrears or.
Yeah,
Right.
we talked about that last year to look at that.
But you don't know how much is going to ever come in. You don't know. People fight it. They say they're going to when different numbers come in. And then the final one, again, a rough number, he didn't have the exact numbers on these, was 167,586, which is really unspent expenditures, okay? Money that we were budgeting for on the other side of the equation, which is
The expense.
expense side, and we came in less. So we, over the years, we always tend to be conservative on our budgeting departments, and which is, I think, is a good thing. So those three numbers add up to the 1,389,391, which hopefully gets certified soon, unless it already is, I don't know.
It already is, sir.
It is certified, okay, so they looked at it, they agreed with us. But that's two ways to look at it. This is like almost like a private sector cash reconciliation, where this is, they start with undesignated fund balance, unreserved, and then they go down the line where they're subtracting property tax receivables and real estate taxes. That's not cash, so we that's why we have to take that out, because it's not in there. The opposite of that is the payables down below here, and cash variance, there's a lot of them. And that came out to about 75,342. Again, we had to reduce, and then finally at the end, you have to picture a cash flow statement. Kevin, don't even try to do that one because it's just crazy. But then deferred revenue, credit balance, debit balances, that was 99,000 and add back. And that's how we went from undesignated fund balance down to the certified cash of 1,389,391. And what I just showed you is the actual cash itself, the difference between the expenditures and actual cash in and cash out. And that's the check. And so I'm sure Fred probably has a couple of other ways to verify all this, but that's where it comes from. And now, you can argue, should it be that high? I don't know. I mean, it's comforting because the last thing you want is to go in the hole and then have to raise taxes. So it's a matter of, that may be a little high, but if we come in, I think 400, 500, 700,000, I think that's kind of the sweet spot to be, where you're not taking too much out, the tax rate, but nonetheless, it's nice to have a cushion like that, because we use it every single year. God, we could spend that in a heartbeat, so.
Yeah. Plus the ARPA and the 300K for tax title
That's right, that's coming.
probably aren't repeatable.
Those are not recurring.
That's not coming back.
Absolutely right.
So it won't be as high this year, the next fiscal year, 2026, so that's certified, so we'll see where it plays out, but, and I don't have the estimate for this year. I'm curious what that is now, too, what we're estimating for, but that's okay. That's just kind of a just a basic thing on cash in, cash out, where this thing comes from and why it is what it is. And then the accountants, they have the verification, the other reconciliation, which on regular municipal accounting procedure. So that's it.
One question,
Don't want to
John.
take any more time because I have some, homework.
Ambulance receipts. They're local receipts, but, and I know we occasionally draw from them and move them to other things, but they're kind of outside of this whole picture?
Yes, I think so. They're not listed here.
Separate, that ambulance, I believe, was always separate, wasn't it?
Yeah, it has always been, and
It's
we've
the only
moved stuff around, but
entity, I think,
is
that
that
makes money.
totally under the control of the fire department and not really under the town finances?
Yeah, Bill didn't say anything to do with, any of this cash had to do with that, those revolving funds. But
Okay,
There you have it, Joe, so I hope that helps a little
It
bit.
does.
Thanks for the work.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for going through that with Bill and getting a reconciliation.
Bill was good, Bill gave me all the sheets,
Yeah.
kind of, you know.
It's good practice to do this every year too, because
Educate
Lynn
everybody.
just pointed out, look at what are recurring opportunities and what are non-recurring. So the ARPA interest is non-recurring.
Right.
That one-time tax title that Megan's doing a great job, those are non-recurring. Now Megan's gonna keep doing it because there are additional ones that she's still going after, but
Probably not as big
those,
an opportunity
those
as the first ones.
$300K are probably the sweet spot of what she's going after right now.
Right.
So, and it's a lot of good news on the revenue side. The other takeaway is the 167,000. That's probably the closest to the budget we've been in many years.
Yeah.
Usually there's more excess in unspent expenses coming at the free cash.
They did a good job with that.
Yeah.
They were really close, I thought, too, so.
Yeah, budget was pretty spot on, is what that's saying. So, okay. Other questions before we move on?
The only question on the meals and room tax kind of thing, I know we passed that thing where we have an increase in that. When will we see that? Is that not until next year or?
No, it's this year.
It is this year?
This fiscal year, we're collecting the increase from 4 to 6 on the rooms tax. And it is one of our agenda items here. I can bump it up and we can talk to it as part of this. The meals tax, there were some events at the state level that not all of our restaurateurs got notified that the tax rate changed to 7% instead of 6.25% occurred. So Bill informed me that that is going to get straightened out by the state, and those will kick in as of January 1. So we'll get a half a year on those ones.
Okay.
And we did get a full year on some of the restaurateurs, but evidently there was more than one list that was provided to the state, and not all of it went in.
Gotcha.
Okay, so some got notified to change your tax rate and some didn't. Okay, so,
Yeah, that was a little, I talked to Bill on that too the other day. He says, what's up? And he said, well, yeah, the state. I said, wow, they made a mistake? Really?
Never.
so we expect the meals tax, which we didn't have before, to kick in this year. Some of it is already in the number that John talked to here. But that, during the latter half of the year, will go up for us. So it'll be a bigger contributor on that.
I noticed a couple of restaurants on invoices I paid recently only had the 6.25%.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
I said, where's the extra 0.7% going? I kind of laughed. I said, don't worry, no one needs to know.
Yeah.
We know what's coming.
Joe, if I may? So and again, this is most of, I'm just trying to learn here. As long as you're not gonna charge me to learn, John, I got a question for you. So, of the tax and title unspent budget items, right, it's 300K, which was found, and then the 167 is a separate number from that, right?
That's underspend.
Okay, so that money, that money was budgeted to departments or projects or something?
Yes.
Is
And
there a
they-
breakdown?
And they didn't spend it all.
Right,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
who's they?
You know the
And I'm only asking, is there something that was, if this was spread out throughout all the departments and it was 8 grand here, 9 grand there, 14, then, is there something that like ate 100,000 of this or the other 67?
I don't know. That's a good question for Bill. I don't think anything was that large.
No, I think it's a lot of little,
Yeah.
it's
A
the
whole bunch of
death by
little
a
stuff,
thousand
okay.
cuts
Yeah.
type thing.
And-
It's a lot of under,
You used to always give us
Yeah.
a budget versus actual at like this point when we're doing budgeting and everything. And it's part of those 4 reports that you guys probably, I'm sure you read every bit of them.
20 pages that
If
Joe
you do
sent
send
out,
that, Joe, red star it, I'll make sure.
and you don't open it.
But there is a summary there of budget to actual, and then Joe sometimes does a nice, easy-to-read summary for us.
I'll try
As
and
we
get a
get-
refresher out for that so that you can use it as a cure for insomnia. Kevin. Yes, but you're not gonna find one big pocket of 100,000 underspent, okay?
Right.
You're gonna see 10 grand here, 8 grand here.
All right.
Thank you, John.
You know, the real question I was gonna ask Deb downstairs was the excise tax. I thought that was for small numbers times the number of residents who have cars. I don't know, I just thought that was a pretty.
Everybody bought cars before the
You're
crunch.
surprised at the size of that
Even
excise
stupid
tax.
people buying 3 new vehicles in the course of a year.
Just saying. A lot of new cars out there.
Well, the problem is the cars cost so much money now.
Yeah.
Even the cheap cars cost so much money, and they only go down 5 years.
He's not kidding.
And then
That's exactly what
then
it
it
is.
sits right there.
Yeah.
Does an ambulance or a DPW truck have to pay excise tax?
Probably do, they all do, I think.
No, he says no.
No? Oh, boy, well, it's all residential, well, whatever, but that was a big jump. Okay.
Okay. Next item we're going to skip because Bill, Lynn, and I are working on it, and that's the FY27 ATM calendar. It's almost ready for signature, but there was an error in the dates of the stand and present that are being corrected right now. Bill's working on that, getting it re-signatured by the select board, and then it will go to Lynn and I, and we'll finalize the signature. So I expect that to occur sometime during this week, if we can get it out of the way. And then that will become our official calendar for the budget season here. Next item is just a recap, special town meeting results, any dialogue, open dialogue that anybody wanted to have regarding that before we get into our next, somewhat related.
Yeah, so much came in near the end, and I know a friend of mine gave me some numbers, and Mark has been excellent at giving me back the information. I got a memo from Jonathan Marini and Ryan, and I can only say these numbers are legit that Weston and Sampson have, very legit. Now, there's a wide range on the per square foot, but a number I got was like $285 per square foot, from which, puts a doubt in your mind as to how can it be so far off. But, that came in a day before, and I wasn't going to pester anybody with those kind of numbers, deviations the day before. We've got time now, but long story short, thanks to Mark, I talked to Ryan on the phone, I got all the data I need. It's 1,090 or something, 1,060 per square foot, really higher than normal because of getting all the supplies and equipment and people out to that island. And I don't know if we were talking about it, my friend was talking about some project years ago, but this is how things can be really just out of whack. And so, yeah, and Nantucket come to find out, they have Weston and Sampson and Vertex also. So it's like, I said, Ryan, don't worry, we got another 6-8 months to get this thing right. We can get these numbers down right. I trusted, but I said it was high, but I said, he knows, we got to go back to the drawing board and maybe take a different approach. But the numbers were coming all over the place, and I thank the people for submitting them, but I would only say in the future, we got to have a source to send these things to before the day before, the week before. That was crazy, because the people will answer the questions. They will get the right information out. But these are just my buddies. Well, they used to be my buddies, but they sent me a lot of stuff, and I said, no. You can't do that. You can't be throwing these numbers and not having a source and guesstimating all this stuff. It's a huge project, and the number, I'm just saying this for the benefit of people, the taxpayer, they're legit. It comes down to how big do we want it, how do we want to structure this thing going forward. All those numbers are totally legit. I'm totally convinced of that. This next time around, let's do it right. Let's flow it right through the building committee or right through Mark, or right through.
I had a suggestion on just exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Is that, would you consider, folks, when you get these thoughts, these other town numbers, any of these things that make it look like our project is overpriced, and that came through at the town meeting, would you consider sending it to me so that I can then send it into the committee and the professionals so that some of this stuff, well-intended, doesn't get out into the, what do you call it, social media, and then one person gets a hold of a $300 Nantucket, a square foot in Nantucket, when it's actually over $1,000, and then just focus on that, like what happened to me at the town meeting, misinformation. So you don't have to answer, but I'm just suggesting that. The other thing I'd like to say is we're having a thing called a charrette. And what that is it's an informal meeting, so it's gonna be the DPW committee and the two consultants that we have. And we're gonna sit around and talk about we're gonna have a floor plan hopefully, right, Blaine?
That's what it's basically a design process.
Okay.
What we're doing is we're doing a quick design. And what this process does, and this as an architect, we always did this, it shows where the issues are, shows where a lot of flab might be in some of the program, so you can cut back here, and if you massage it here, it basically goes from program towards reality of what you might be building.
Right.
And that is the underpinning of developing schematic design, where you can actually get some solid numbers and not have this $4 or $5 million spread that you're looking at. You actually get a much more solid number. And so I guess the charrette is my way of saying to everybody, trust the process. Trust the design process. You're dealing with some of the top people. We're very fortunate to have Jonathan.
He's amazing.
He's also one of the top people in the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not an overstatement. And the Vertex people are really amazing. And they're all, two of them they live here. There's not one of us that wants this project to cost one penny more than it has to. Excuse me. And some of the sticker shock is absolutely normal. It's absolutely, if you don't have it, you're not paying attention, right? So that's all. I spoke too long, but yeah.
My second request for your consideration would be for this December 15th meeting, in the next couple weeks, if you come up with things that you want discussed, and you're welcome to attend this meeting, everybody's going to be there. All the concerns that I've heard, and you guys have asked me to bring up at these meetings, I would like to put it all in writing so that they can have it for a week or two, so that they can come to the meeting prepared to answer our questions. That's all I have to say.
Is the charrette a public meeting?
Yes.
Is it open?
It's going to be,
I guess.
it's going to be posted. I asked them, it's going to be posted.
We're leaving about 4 hours of time. It'll
It's
probably
going to be long, it's going to be, a
Yeah,
lot to it.
it's basically, we're kicking around ideas, and it's a design strategy meeting, that's what we're doing. And it's getting into some gritty stuff, operational. We're talking about goals of what this building is supposed to do, what this facility is supposed to do.
No voting.
Yeah.
Well, one of my concerns coming out of the special town meeting is understanding the reasoning behind why such a large negative vote. Do we understand the drivers of such a large negative vote?
I think it's sticker shock. I mean, I had the same reaction.
I have opinions too, but,
Right.
there are a lot of people voting on it, and what did they think, and.
Well, I think you probably explained this, but just in case, I'll say it differently. How's that? The building committee wanted to get this in front of the town as fast as possible because we're concerned about the average 4.5% increase in costs every year that we don't move forward. In fact, I think what somebody said earlier about that Nantucket facility is that it went from $60 million to a now total project of $80 million, and that's since 2024. Now, I don't know, I don't know if those are accurate numbers, but when you think about an increase like that, you want to get it out as fast as possible. You want to get the construction going as quickly as possible and done as quickly as possible in order to save the town money, get more for our money, whatever it is. And that's where we were coming from. We stopped, we didn't stop, we sort of slowed the design process so that we could get ready for the town meeting. Now, maybe that was a tactical error. I don't think so. I think we got everybody's attention, even if it's shocking. And I think now when we come back, because we're all committed to bring this number in far below the $33 million guesstimate that was. So, am I saying anything? I mean, we're...
No, that's, I had kind of, as we went along, say, are we rushing into this?
Right. He did.
And, I was voted down on that, so that's okay. So we found out, like, Ryan's calling it a benchmark, okay? So we know what doesn't work in terms of the voters. So we have to find a way to find something that will work. Because I think, I don't know, last time I checked, we all thought that we need to have a new building. I don't know, I don't think Marina was here for that vote. Do you have any feelings one way or the other? You don't?
No, not at this time.
Okay. So anyway,
Yeah, we were all pretty unanimous that we needed to do something.
something, yeah, right.
We don't know what the something is, but we
It's not
we knew
staying
that
put, right.
the status quo needed to be fixed.
And one of the things that, I don't know if you get a chance to read my notes, because there was so much talk at the town meeting about why don't we just stay where we are, that Weston and Sampson is going to put together a list of, you saw the energy assessment, the hazmat, code, deferred maintenance, all these things, what it would cost to do it. So when we have our next presentation, we will have that information. Okay, so if we're going to stay in that place, it's going to cost this, and we're still not going to have what we need. And also there was, about the new location, there were people who brought out, I'll be able to see that building from in my condo.
Hey, well,
Yeah. And a sound
yes, like
study,
maybe.
a sound study and a traffic study. So we listened to what people said at the meeting, and we're going to address it in the presentation. There'll be more in there. There'll be more in there about safety issues, lack of safety for the people in the office, breathing in diesel fumes, all these things that I think, and I brought this up at the meeting the other night, that's a human thing, This is an emotional issue, And I think people will connect with, hey, you mean these guys are laying under these trucks in the middle of winter because they don't have a lift? And things like that. I think maybe more of that. So people understand that we're just not trying to make a, fabulous garage mahal.
Joe, if I may, just, again, I don't even know what the right path is forward. I just know that if they do a study, 100% study on that building, and it comes back at $10 or $12 million, whether it fits the DPW's needs or not, is gonna be irrelevant. That's gonna sell it'll sell 80% to 20%, because it's not even half of the figure that was thrown out there already. So just understand that that's, okay, well, it's, again,
It's not going to happen.
what's not?
You're not going to see a number that small.
You're not gonna see 8 to 10 million to renovate that building.
Oh, to renovate the old building?
Oh, is it?
Well, that's what he just said, he's gonna do
No.
a study that'll give them an idea of
Just
what.
those points.
I think they're gonna more look at what is it gonna cost us to stay in the old building while we're dithering over whether we're gonna do a new building
Well, there's
that
an
will meet
element.
the needs? Because they're gonna, you gotta put a new roof on, you gotta, all those things, and, so, yeah, they're gonna,
We
do
can
the
nickel and
comparison
dime
cost.
ourselves to, I think the other point is that with today's standards, if we wanted to build a building on that site, it would be doubtful if the state, various state agencies would allow it, because it's in a very sensitive place. And, the state bought almost 40% of this town to protect the watershed. That's going from this town to the Metropolitan Water District. They're not gonna want us to be doing things that might endanger that water quality.
Listen, in all honesty, Blaine, they can be part of the solution or they can be part of the problem.
Well, it's
We
up
have a
to-
problem and they can help us solve the problem,
This-
or they can continue to be a pain in the ass. I have no problem with sitting down with them and saying, okay, you're rejecting that, what will you accept?
See, and I'm
Right.
going differently. I'm suggesting differently, and I've spoken with Joe about this. I'm suggesting that we go back to what are we getting from the state for the 40%, I'm using round numbers, of the property that the state owns, and what do we get 50 years ago, and what are we getting today? And how are we going to get that resolved? Because the difference is millions of dollars. And so you want to talk about where your hundreds of thousands of dollars are coming from, they're shy by millions of dollars a year. Now, we are subsidizing because of that. And you know what I'm saying is right. We are subsidizing Metropolitan Water District. We're not alone. Other towns are doing the same thing. So the question is, how do they resolve this quickly, and how can they help us resolve this? And we do it, I think, with cooperation and with working together with the various, we will get, because I'm looking for 0% financing on our building. What would that do to your numbers?
Excuse me, I don't want to, this whole discussion is fine, but isn't this something further down that we want to get on the agenda, joint meeting planning for you people and us and the selectmen and everything else? Would
Yeah,
that work for all of us instead of hashing over the same
It's
thing?
up to you.
So we have-
I did go afield, and I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
everybody here that's mentioned here, the select board, the building,
Well, we don't have all the people.
we don't have all the people.
That's what this is, this
Can I-
joint meeting.
But
Can I address your question?
Okay.
This is just a topic tonight
What?
to see whether the DPW Building Committee, the Select Board, our Capital Budget Committee, and FinCom feels that we should have a joint meeting to go through these things, in addition maybe to the charrette that's being talked about right now.
Well, I think,
Because it got mentioned to me right after
I
the
know.
special town meeting.
I think that it would make a lot more sense to wait until we have the schematic design hammered out a little more.
Right, that's December 8th?
Well, that takes more
That's
than
the
a
other,
day.
that's the other thing.
That's gonna take more than
Oh,
a day.
no, that's the other thing, I get,
But-
on my glasses.
Mark, why don't you take it?
Yeah, I brought this up at the meeting we had, the most recent meeting over there. And the board, the subcommittee was in favor of it, but they wanted to wait a couple months.
Well, that's
So that
fine.
we'll have- So that we'll have something to talk about.
Right.
You know, to just have some chaotic thing where everybody's throwing, what we would like to do is do that, but have information for everybody to
That's
see.
fine, instead of going over the whole thing, I mean, I'm not being disrespectful, but it seems like we've been going over the same thing. It's like, at the town meeting, people are talking about rebuilding the old one. Well, your committee's looked at it 1,000 times.
You gotta go to the town too, for the same reason.
Okay, so you'd like to get through the charrette, figure out what comes out of that, and then
Maybe in February, have one of these
Okay.
meetings where we're all sitting around a big table or something, and maybe it's over.
Blaine, how do you spell charrette, and what does it mean again?
CHARETTE.
Yeah. I think-
What is it?
Architectural term?
Boy, I was way off.
It's a
Such a bad speller.
It's a French word from a design strategy.
Design
where-
strategy.
Okay.
So they use it not.
It's a meeting. It's a
Thank you.
brainstorming meeting.
Kind of an
I'm
informal.
charrette, it means you're up all night.
Exactly.
It's not a good thing. Yeah.
So we'll defer any discussion until minimally after the charrette. And then the building committee, the DPW building committee can help us guide on when we should have that meeting.
Yes.
Because I think it's a lot of people coming together after we have a lot more information.
Exactly.
Good. That is the last agenda topic for tonight, and we gotta get out of this room because the planning board meeting starts.
I do have a few things that-
Any other items?
Yes, so I had hoped to get to Bill, and I apologize because some health issues have kind of let me not be as active as I should have. But I would like to, Bill is getting all the capital requests in to him on the 22nd, okay? Now, I just have a question to him whether he plans to pass those on to liaisons or pass them to me and then I pass them on to the liaisons. So I have some logistics questions to work with him on, but I wanted to try to target a capital-only meeting that first week in December. And so I was going to ask you guys what would be a good date. Now, unfortunately, I don't know if Bill's even in Thanksgiving week. There's a, to consolidate stuff, so I'm ready for that. So it probably later in that week is better than early, like if I left Monday and Tuesday so I could meet with Bill if I had to, if he's not around Thanksgiving week. This year is going fast. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the December 3rd to the 5th, are any of
This
those?
is just for capital?
Just capital only. I have a couple reports I want to get to you. I want to talk a little bit about the process, because, we got some new members, and just kind of get our ducks in a row. Because between December and February, liaisons are supposed to be meeting with the departments and various people on capital. So,
One of our challenges right now, Lynn, is we don't have a calendar that works for the town, so I don't know what's already scheduled on those nights right now.
oh,
That's
yeah,
the problem.
yeah.
But
Well, if
we
push
throw
came
a
to come,
dart-
we might have to go into the other room, right?
If we throw a dart and pick a date and see whether anybody else has it by asking around in the meantime.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea to have it.
So, yeah, Wednesdays tends to be select board meetings, so I don't know if Thursdays, is there?
Thursdays are our usual meetings.
But we don't have a meeting then for
No.
FinCom, so,
No, we have it on the third Thursday of the month.
so Thursday, the 4th, December 4th, would, people, does that sound like a good time? And
Yeah.
do you prefer the 5 o'clock versus the 6:30 or whatever? Prefer it early, like 5 o'clock, like we've been doing our meetings?
If there's
It's up to you, I'm
another,
the FinCom, not on the capital, so.
Oh, you're not on capital, I'm sorry.
if there's another meeting
Oh.
on that night, it's better to have it at 5 and get it in early, like we are doing tonight
Oh,
before
okay.
a planning board.
So Mariana, you work. A lot of us are retired, and Sarah, is 5 tough to make?
I can make it at 5, yeah.
You can make it at 5, how about you? That's 5?
I can be there.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so I'm going to tentatively target 5 PM, December 4th for a capital-only meeting,
Good,
and that's all I have right now.
good plan, thank you. Any other items we want to discuss tonight before we get to our favorite motion of the evening? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye, both
Both
CBC
CBC.
and, thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Good meeting.